Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of AVGL's CSGO Off Angle. I am Hollis Bain, the community manager here for Counter-Strike specifically. This is my co-host, Philip Pompetti.
Hi guys, Philip here with AVGL, head of marketing for the season. Really excited to sit down and talk about Counter Strike AVGL this week. We've had a lot of great matchups, some good, some not so good, but that's the way it happens from time to time. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, sure. I think the first docket is definitely our predictions giveaway. So actually, we are hosting a giveaway for the top predictor on the AVGL site. If you go to the Counter-Strike section and go to the predictions tab, you will notice that there's a way to, I guess, use your own judgment and intellect and click on the team you think who's going to win for every single match of every single week. And the top predictor will walk home with, or I guess sit at home and wait for, one of these nice Respawn chairs. We've been lucky enough to be sponsored by Respawn. They're great chairs. Philip and I are sitting in them right now. They're
Awesome
awesome.
cheers, awesome cheers.
Leather cushions and whatnot. It's phenomenal. Anyways, the top predictor, I think right now someone has an 89% prediction ratio, so it's pretty tough to get up there, but I think if you start now, you'll have a really good chance at one of these chairs, because earlier in the season you'll have a lot easier games to pick out and
Yeah,
whatnot.
definitely.
So I mean, along with that is the ending of week one. We can just talk about that right now. Week one is basically over. We have two matches left. That's going to be CU Boulder versus Titans, and one that is happening right now, which is Ohio State versus Sunny Binghamton. And after those two matches end, we're done with week one. Like
Yeah.
it's over.
Very exciting
Um,
to have a close here to the week. It's awesome. I'd say definitely, if you've got some time and you think you know your way around the college esports scene, get over to AVGL College, make your predictions, and get yourself in the running for that chair. These are awesome chairs, like Hollis said. They're fantastic products, and I love sitting in it. So definitely make sure you carve out some time for yourself this week, make your predictions, and see if you can get to the top of that leaderboard for week two.
awesome. And I think watching the show might actually help with that prediction
Absolutely.
right there. Awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and segue into our weekly winners. All right, so our weekly winners for this week are some very special teams in my mind. One of them being Georgia State University. They beat their opponents in a dominating fashion, 2-0. We had tons of that stuff this week, though. I think we aired two 16 near 16-0 games. There's some really hard hitting teams coming in this week, showing the lesser experienced teams how to play Counter Strike and what Counter Strike actually is. We had Ryerson absolutely pummel PPU on stream, and you get a mismatch like that every once in a while. But I think a lot of newer teams experienced the higher level of collegiate Counter Strike this week, and hopefully they can take the time to improve on what they saw in the match. That's one of the Yeah, what's up?
Let me ask you, Hollis, what do you think it is about that Ryerson team that made them so dominant this week?
So Ryerson has a couple key fraggers who used to play in MDL and still do, I think. They've got Pistol, they've got Mason, Mayer, yeah, Mason. He
Wow.
is he actually is one of the most confident entry fraggers that I know. Their opera's pretty good too. It's just it's all about the confidence at this level of Counter Strike. You have a team who can do a number of strats, right? A set number of smokes and executes. But at the end of the day, if those executes are followed up by very unconfident fraggers, you're not going to win the round, because taking that site is going to be you freaking out the entire time,
Right.
and peeking all these angles that don't exist, and it's just a mess. But you could see that when Ryerson took a site against PPU, it was nothing but sheer just, when am I going to kill him? When am I going to win the round for my team? I am confident this aim duel is mine. It's stuff like that really puts you up at the top. And so right now, Ryerson actually is number 3. I think our leaderboards, since it's the first week and we only have one game being played, I think it counts it by round wins. So if I'm not mistaken, Kennesaw and Virginia Commonwealth also had 16 O's,
Wow.
which is quite insane. Yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy. I would say for that Ryerson squad, especially having that MDL experience and having that kind of that long track record in the upper echelons of competitive Counter Strike is definitely going to go a long way in helping them secure the number one spot. But if they're competing against teams that can also get those 16-0s,
Yeah.
that's going to be some tough competition coming up.
Exactly. Yeah, and I heard York has a couple premier slash MDL players up there. Definitely everyone on this top 20 list has some higher level ESEA experience, and that's what makes you the best. If you're continuously playing with the squad at that level, you're gonna be better than all these other
Absolutely.
teams. I'm surprised to see RIT Tigers having two of their squads in the top 10. We got number 6 and number 7 to RIT Tigers and RIT CSGO All Stars. So those two weekly winners, in my opinion, are some of the more outstanding, because in playoff stage, if they both make it, they may have to play each other.
That's awesome.
Should be
That is
interesting.
fantastic. That's I mean it's really shaping up. It's only week 1 like you mentioned, Hollis, but it's definitely shaping up like this AVGL season is going to be highly competitive,
Yes.
especially in the CS in our CS:GO league. So with that, I think we'll put a close to the weekly winners and jump right into your AVGL Rising Stars for week 1.
Okay, so jumping right into this week's Rising Stars, we have two of them, and both of these players made a significant impact on their team's wins this week, and also have yet to really come on the map on the CS:GO radar, if you will. We got some really good players this week. The first one is Bomber G2 from Miami. He is an insane rifler. He got 113 ADR and 15 efficacy in his best of three, which went 2-1 in favor of Miami. So he won. He won the best of three. His KD was 1.52. Incredible stuff from him. Looking forward to seeing if he can stay consistent and if he can inspire some of his teammates to have similar statistics throughout the weeks.
So what is it about this? What is it about Bomber specifically that you think lends these skills that lend themselves to these kind of performances? We talk about the rising star, and obviously, part of the formula is having that star quality. So,
Mm.
what role is he playing, and what exactly is it about his gameplay that kind of lends itself to this kind of performance?
So on the Miami squad, actually, I noticed he does inspire a bit of confidence on T side rounds, although his team is overall already confident. But Bomber, he'll go into a round, he'll clutch it 2v4. He'll work with his teammate to inspire them to start using nades more correctly, I should say,
Mm.
in more intricate ways. He's a smart player, but he's also a very hard hitting player. Like, he is not afraid to buy full utility, rush out T-Con on train, and risk losing all of it just so he can get an Olaf and use it all for his team to get out into yard. The ADR stat, Philip, is really what I focus on. In a best of three, if you can maintain 113 ADR, you're doing something right over all three maps.
Absolutely.
So our next rising star actually is from LSU, Louisiana State University. His name is Clack, and I have been following Clack for a couple weeks now. Clack has been having what you could say a breakout performance in the past couple weeks. You could call it a breakout performance for sure. He's dropped 102 ADR this week in AVGL over a best of three, so he's up there with Bomber in the hundreds, right? Over a best of three, and his efficacy was 15.38, which is pretty dang good. He's got 95 kills in 3 matches. This kid was dropping a 30 bomb every game.
So let me ask you this now: do you see when you see stats like that, especially when you see that disparity, or you see a player dropping a 30 bomb over a best of three in every game? Is that does that kind of fall into the category of being a hard carry, or is he just in the right spot at the right time? So my question, I suppose, is it because of cerebral play, or is he just that good of an aimer that he can put the rest of his team on his back, or they're not even needed?
Well, I'd say it's a mix of both, actually. When it comes to this level of Counter Strike, you have to turn off part of your brain and then turn on another part, because it's not quite professional Counter Strike, as I'm sure we all know, but it is competitive to a level that you need to think about the round in depth before you actually go and pursue the kills. Clack actually is the captain for LSU, and the team only started like 3 months ago. It's insane how they've already put together such a squad who can take out this performance in week one. Like, they take out 180, 102 ADR on Clack, and I think another one of his players was like 98. So
Wow.
he's definitely helping his team frag, and not only that, but make impact kills. I was watching the demo of his match, and he was in the right place. Like you said, it was cerebral play, but also the the advantage that he took out of that cerebral play. So he'll be in the right place at the right time, but he'll exploit the fact that he's there to the furthest extent possible. Really excited to see this guy play in the future. He went plus 36 in the series, absolutely killer when it comes to an IGL. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to week 2 from Clack.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to see both of our rising stars for week 1 get back into the action for week 2. What we've got coming up next for you is going to be the AVGL Plays of the Week. This is a great segment. So with that, let's hop right in.
He's got to be quick or to get this bomb and get it working. If Kazi can just buy a time, that would be great. Trying to go for the plant. Kazi, I like this. He doesn't even go for the spam. He just wants to get here as quickly as possible onto Jewel. He's going to catch him while he's trying to jump on the box. Really well played by Kazi, in my opinion.
Yeah, great 1v1 there. He knows. There's a lot you seem to want to say right now, bud. Ooh,
Okay, look
almost,
at this.
dude.
Look at these CZ kills.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
another one. 3 different CZ kills from 3 different players. Gives him a chance in this round. It's a 2-on-2. It got really chaotic really quick in this B-bomb site.
Oh, no.
And now it's just Jayco at the op. If you were to lose it like
boosting.
this. He doesn't see it.
Oh.
That's a crazy round from UCR. Wow. UCR wasting no time just running up middle, but look at Ecstasy playing the fence
There he
here,
is.
doing great
Look at
work.
this flank from Intense, though. Now he's pinching on these CT players towards the A side. That's going to force him to take the peeks off the first now, who's on that A ramp.
Oh, and this player's right below low HP. Does catch a glimpse of him and gets the kill. Jayco not able to get out of the way. So now it's all on Ecstasy. He's done a lot of work
Oh,
already.
wow.
He would need to ace to win this round. He's already on his way to it. Just needs to find this last kill onto Intense. This
does
is
it.
Intense, in fact, and he does get the ace. Oh my goodness. Ecstasy's back. He's got 21 kills in this game, but he is hard carrying. Like someone else from UCS needs to step up and help this man out.
Plants the bomb, so it's a 1v4. 3 CTs are tagged, and he has the AWP with the first kill. Can he get the next? Rounding the corners one by one, they are toppling, falling like flies, and it's on Amped in the bomb site. Pistol scoped in, up close, no scope, Glocks out, burst fire, yes! Headshot from Pistol, double digits for Ryerson, and the 2-man 20-second clutch.
And now that we've seen your AVGL top plays for week 1, it is time to launch into Off Angle. Hollace and I are going to be sitting down talking about some of the non-AVGL title-specific stuff for Counter-Strike. First on the list, can't avoid it, Cloud9 wins the most recent Boston Major, the first for Cloud9, the first for North America. Hollace, what was going through your head when they actually took home that trophy?
A lot of things, a lot of broken dreams being remembered, a lot of heartbreak being overcome. But at the end of the day, C9 rose and conquered them all. It was a tough playoff stage, tough group stage, honestly. And Tarek led his team to victory in a very patriotic manner.
Yes, I absolutely did. Now, this is the third time we've seen a Counter-Strike major on North American soil. The first, can you speak to me a little bit about what your experience has been like as a North American fan the last few times they've been here in the States?
Sure, yeah. Well, the first one, MLG Columbus, iconic, one of the most iconic moments in esports as a whole. Down 15-6, Cold Zera makes the shot, and all of a sudden it's a tied game. They go into overtime. This is Team Liquid versus Luminosity. All of a sudden, a North American team seems to be doing well enough to win it, right? And then Luminosity, Cold Zera specifically at that moment in time, turns the momentum, flips it on its head, and they just roll with it. Liquid lost 2-0 when they should have won 2-0. That was my first experience with North American Counter-Strike. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I'm still salty about it. I still feel the salt.
So it's been a long time coming. It's been
Yeah.
that's going back 3 years. The title came out in 2012. It's taken this long for North America to capture that ever elusive Counter-Strike major title. So I want to talk a little bit about what exactly it is that changed. If you look at it face value, we've got the European highly structured, highly disciplined team play style of Counter-Strike against the North American, far more aggressive, far more risk taking. They're not very risk averse. Kind of that pushy American style of playing Counter-Strike. Look at it at face value on the surface, not a lot's changed. So what was it that allowed Cloud9 to maintain their style, but to work through those big four European powerhouses in front of them on their way to the title?
I think it was actually a combination of underestimation. So the opponents underestimated Cloud9's ability to calmly adapt and call audibles mid-round. And also, the main thing is Tarek changing a group of players to become one disciplined unit. I've yet to see it in NA Counter-Strike. Even in Team Liquid, when they were making those runs, they weren't disciplined. They were just playing off the momentum. And, the crowd was a huge factor in Boston, too. But it
Yeah.
only drove the discipline. It drove the players to not make hype and stupid plays, but to make the plays that would win the round. And, you can find a similar change in Tarek as a player, comparing it to the whole C9 team. Tarek is usually like, when you watch a stream, he's usually just this crazy pugger guy. Like, he'll just go up, try and knife you and no scope you and just do ridiculous stuff, especially when he's
Sure.
playing with Stewie 2K. But when they're in a tournament mode, they got a support player like Rush who's very consistent with nades. They got a very, very static and adaptable opper named Skadoodle. Ska Daddy, my baby. He is not the type of opper who you would think would win a major because, he's just not flashy. He's not simple, right? He's not Cold Zera. But he does his role on the team, and he allows Stewie, Automatic, and Tarek to become absolute beasts when entering a site and taking control of the map.
So we talk a little bit about the North American way of doing things. We see it in a lot of other titles too. We see it in Overwatch League. We see it in League of Legends. We see it. It's the North America imports, bringing over these European players to play in North America and compete in ESL Pro League for North America. So we've seen over the last few years, but certainly a big upswing here in the last few months of American teams bringing in international talent to bolster their rosters and make that big change. Cloud9 has not made a change like that. They're still playing with a full North American lineup. So why is it that with that full North American style, they're not having any trouble beating these international teams?
I honestly think it's just a change in mindset. I mean, these players were playing the old C9. These players were playing with players who they had to restrict themselves to play with. Like, if you're playing with Shroud and you're playing with Jordan or nothing. Those are the types of players who are going to call rounds based around you and play off of your capitalizations and your frags when they can't really back you up that hard. Like, they're more passive and kind of like maybe, I guess, a bit timid in play style. But I think what's changed when Tarek came in and when Rush came in, I think what changed was the pacing at which their confidence I guess you could say stabilizes. So at mid-round, you can see a lot of North American Counter-Strike teams just going absolutely mentally crazy. They don't know what to do when chaos is happening. Like, say you take mid on Mirage and you're pinned in connector. Usually a North American Counter-Strike team, my ESEA Open team would do this. We freak out. We, don't know what to calm. Everyone's like calling everything multiple times. Nades are being thrown in random spots. C9 has a plan for everything. And I don't know what changed. I think it might have been a combination of coaching, also serious demo analysis, but Rush and Tarek definitely had a big part in that equation.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. But the next question that absolutely has to be asked is it tenable? Is this something that we're going to see? Are we going to see Cloud9 enter into legacy mode and start trying to make their stamp as not just the best North American Counter-Strike team right now, but the best North American Counter-Strike team of all time, and cement themselves as one of the best international Counter-Strike teams of all time? Is that a possibility with this lineup and their way of playing?
I think this lineup and the way that they're playing, yes, it most definitely is a possibility, but also it is a possibility that is reproducible, or it's a style of play that is reproducible, and you can see that Liquid has already started adopting the same form that C9 was trying to use on their fast mid takes and their diversions on B side on Inferno and stuff like that. Like North American Counter-Strike is kind of hard to describe in words, but when you see it and you know it's there. And so
Definitely.
somehow these two teams, because Liquid beat C9 in Summit recently, like the Summit tournament that took place, I guess 2 weeks ago it is now, after the major, Liquid came and beat Cloud9. And it was close, but at the same time, it was actually like kind of scary to see an IGL implement the same style that Tarek did so accurately. He has the same type of players on the Liquid roster, and he was able to do very similar things. Um, you got fraggers like Elige comparing to Stewie. You know that you got almost identical lineups like role and style wise, but personality really makes a difference in Counter Strike. So I think there is a potential for the C9 roster to become legend status and become one of the most well-renowned Counter-Strike teams of all time, but they have to adapt. They have to find a way to change the never changing meta of North American CS. They have to find a way to make it new and unique, and I think that will really take them far.
So as we record this and have this conversation, Cloud9 has taken an early leave from the SL Star Series taking place over in the Ukraine. Hopefully, we're going to see that as more of a hiccup, more of coming off a break, as opposed to being indicative of something that's maybe gonna be a problem in the future. But let's move over to the balance changes in this most recent patch. I know the big one, the keynote one, is those big changes to some of the core map design for Nuke. I'd like to know a little bit about what you think about those changes, removing some elements from that map.
Sure. So the first major element that they removed, if no one knows, is the catwalk, which is huge. And I'm talking about outside catwalk from above Mini or below Marshmallow to Heaven. That is gone. Just gone. Also, they removed the hut window that is on the vent side of hut. And along with these changes, I'm pretty sure it was spurred from the Nuke changes. Op shots now one shot through vents. So a lot of changes came with this whole Nuke patch. And overall, I think they're decent. It's just different. Like this map keeps changing and over and over and over again. Also, like some railings on B bomb site were removed. Boxes were added near the bomb site for more cover. I think they're trying to make it a little more less T-sided. Because pro players would get on these huge, crazy momentum streaks and just take Nuke T-sides like to the extreme. I think at a certain point the economy is what Valve had in mind when making these changes. When holding outside, you know, it's an expensive thing to do as a CT. You have to use a lot of nades, probably have an op out there. Maybe you'll lose it every round, every other round. It's an expensive thing to do, and I think they made the right change outside. But I don't understand the hut change. I don't get that. I don't know what your experience is on Nuke in a competitive environment, but it really changes the flow or the pacing and flow at which your T side can work.
Absolutely, it takes away. It definitely takes away a lot of options when you're trying to execute onto that A site, and it's the changes. I think the reason these changes came through is that they want to make Nuke a more lucrative pick for teams. A lot of times it's kind of that back pocket pick you saw with Gambit in the most recent major, in the group stage, where you pick it, you've been practicing it almost in secret, and no one expects it. No one expects it to go through, and you can come on and you can wipe a team out. But then you eliminate the possibility for that map to be let through against you in the future. So what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to make it a more lucrative and enticing pick, and to have teams practice on it and to make it more competitive and a little more balanced for the T's. It remains to be seen if the changes are going to have those intended effects. Are we going to see pro teams start to select Nuke or allow Nuke to go through more often? As for right now, it is pretty much one of the staple auto bans.
Yep,
that we see
Star
go
Ladder
through
actually.
all.
Sorry to cut
Absolutely.
you off. Our Star Ladder's like 50% ban ratio. Like
So that right there to me is symptomatic of some underlying foundational issues with that map as a competitive map, and I don't know if these changes are going to be enough to see an increased pick rate. again, time's going to tell, but
Yeah.
there may be a time in the near future where that we actually need to remove Nuke again from the from competitive pool and have the devs take a hard look at how that map is laid out, and see whether or not it has viability in the pro scene, because, and I know that's not their what they focus on for
Yeah,
sure. It
yeah.
is a good it is a good map, definitely, but we're talking about competitive Counter-Strike, collegiate esports and pro esports. So I'd like to see with time whether or not those changes are gonna actually be something that makes a difference on the pick rates for Nuke.
I hope so. I really do, because it's a fun
Yeah.
map. It's a playground for T-side if they do it right.
And that's the op changes are something that I do want to just briefly
Mm-hmm.
touch base on before we move on to our last topic for off angle, and that's a change that has been so long coming. I mean,
I know, right?
People have been wanting that for years. They've been
They
calling
just throw
for
it
the
in
one
with
shot.
this. Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice change.
It
I
is.
know every opper I know has wanted that for a long time. You don't want to have to shoot the vents before you shoot your op. You don't want to have
Sure.
to shoot them with the op and then take out your P250 and finish them off, or your
Yeah.
USP or Glock, whatever. It's just a hassle, and the fact that they made the change, I love it. It's a great one. They're vents, so like it's not a wall. I think it makes sense. And I think it was a very balanced change to most maps, especially on cache. That one spot on cache vents, very balanced when you have an op holding it there. It eliminates a lot of really T-oriented, unbalanced tactics.
Advantages.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
advantages. Yeah, they were exploiting the fact that you couldn't one shot through the vents, and now that's taken
Absolutely.
away. So I like
Yeah,
it.
I wonder if we're going to see an increase on CT aggression with these new changes. Now that you have the ability to kind of hold a very tight angle through with an obscured view of the opponent has an obscured view of you through that angle. I would love to see exactly how this is going to impact CT aggression, especially on those maps like cache in mid, those mid vents there that you talk about. Having a CT boosted into vents, watching for the mid push. Being able to get a pick through the vents in one shot now and fall off back into checkers is going to be huge. And I wonder if we're going to see any changes on CT aggression. What can you talk about there?
I think if you have a solid solo A player, yeah, that's a sick option. I think if you can hold solo A with a solid rifle, or even play retake A, you have one person highway and have two people B boosting up into vents and one person anchor B, maybe even as a rotator from mid. Really anywhere. Like as long as you put your op in there with a rifle as a support on both sides, I think he has huge potential to stop mid pushes that are very aggressive. Like super aggressive mid pushes nowadays usually involve smoking off mid, right? Smoking off like the connector part to CT spawn. So if you smoke off mid main and you smoke off highway, like there's not a lot of options as CT side to have an op there in mid safely. That is, and now there's a bit of counterplay, so I like it. It's just that B halls, B main is usually taken very quickly, and so if you're a CT wanting to make that type of aggression, you are going to have to move your pieces in such a way, and by pieces I mean players and utility, in such a way that will guarantee your opper gets out of those vents safely. And if that works, then you have a one hell of a T side or a CT side, one hell of a CT side.
I'm definitely excited to see teams start to utilize that op change, especially on a map like Cache, where that vent gives you a distinct advantage as an opper there in mid. So let's transition over with the balance changes and the Cloud9 under wraps. Let's transition over to the hot topic. It's been on everyone's minds and on most people's lips for the last few weeks, and that is going to be ESL deciding to move their streaming platform for this season's ESL Pro League over to Facebook, which has been a move that has been panned by many members of the community. From a business perspective, it does make sense, but I do want to get your thoughts on what that means for the scene.
So my thoughts, minimal but precise. I think it was a short-term move for money, and it was kind of a bad branding move in the long run. I think a lot of esports participants, whether you're part of Pillar 1, which is production, Pillar 2, which is player, or Pillar 3, which is consumer, I think all three of the pillars of esports disagree with this move, because in the long run, it's not effective. Like you're not going to have a whole audience of 400,000 viewers go from Twitch to Facebook just because you decided to sell out.
Yep. That is something that I think is definitely going to be impacted. It's that the viewership is critical, and we talk about it at AVGL from a non-endemic perspective. So you look at our industry and you say, okay, how can we get more sponsors interested in being a part of this industry and continuing to infuse new capital and new opportunities into the esports industry. And I think when you make a move like taking your pro league off of Twitch and onto YouTube, okay, sure, that's a comparable platform. It has a lot of the same elements. It's not that far of a stretch, but when you move it onto Facebook and you're seeing the kind of viewership loss that ESL has seen this year,
Yeah.
it only barely makes sense as a short-term perspective, because
Yeah.
now your sponsors are sponsors tell tournament organizers and league owners, we expect a certain amount of guaranteed viewership. And that is how we're going to continue to support this league and support your business, is through you being able to guarantee you can reap in 15,000 or more viewers on a normal average midday ESL Pro League match on Twitch. Now that they're moving over to Facebook and you're getting 3,000-4,000 at most at peak.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that look like for sponsors or for non-endemics who are looking to get involved in esports? How does that look for them as they're saying, okay, this no longer looks like a profitable option for us. This no longer looks like a sustainable model, and to have that kind of a dip in viewership, I think even in the short term is going to really cost ESL, and it's going to harm the scene as a whole.
Yeah, it's sad to watch, but I think it will end soon, and that's just because the competition for majors. I wanted to ask you, since you can't link your Steam to Facebook in such a way that allows you to get drops, is it even possible for them to host a major?
I never put it past Facebook to be able to develop something on the fly that could make it work.
Yeah, good point.
I
good point.
think right now everyone's kind of holding their breath that we don't get a Facebook major. I think that would the negative implications of a Facebook major are so great that I deign to even think about what could happen if by some stroke of insanity some organizer or Valve themselves agree to allow Facebook take a major. That is going to set us back to the Stone Ages in an already very young industry. So
Yes.
the ESL move to Facebook, definitely not one of my favorites for the week. I understand where they're coming from a short-term business perspective. It makes a lot of sense. A lot of pockets being lined. But I think for the overall health and integrity of the scene as a whole, the industry as a whole, definitely going to be something that we're going to look back on in a few years and say, what the hell were they thinking? Not what we want to see while we're trying to continue to develop and entice businesses to come in and be a part of our industry. So that wraps up a lot of what we had for Off Angle this week. That's going to be a lot of our week one topics. We are going to have this conversation, Hollace, and I again next week for week two. So make sure you catch us there. Before we get off, we're going to talk a little bit about some upcoming schedules and where you can find us. And that is going to wrap us up for Off Angle. That was our Off Angle for AVGL. Moving into the next segment, we're going to sit down and talk a little bit about some of the key matchups and standings for this week. Going to throw up the standings here for you again. A lot of these are going to be a lot of 1-0s, going to be a lot of 0-1s. Keep in mind, it is only week one. AVGL is only just beginning, and we are going to be seeing a lot of movers and shakers start to take the top of the listings here in week two. But I do want to talk a little bit, Hollace, about some of the key matchups for week two. First on the list is going to be CU, Colorado University Black against Illinois Orange. Why is that a matchup to watch?
I think that's a very important matchup to watch because both of these teams are B teams for their counterpart. And I think if you have very good younger players participating in the same tournament you're playing in and still winning against the opponents you already beat, that will only mean good things for these programs in the future. If Illinois Orange can pull any of the stats that their older team, and I say older as in better most likely, if they can pull any of the stats that they did in the last week or last tournaments, then they're looking solid for the rest of their collegiate career. Same with Black, Colorado Boulder Black. I mean, that team, as you know, is just a powerhouse. The main team for Colorado Boulder is insane. And if the younger B team version can somehow live up to what their, I guess you could say, teachers have been teaching them, because they're most likely been practicing together, then again, it will mean great things for the program in the future.
Awesome. Our second matchup is going to be a second keynote matchup here is going to be a clash of the coasts as UCSC Gold is taking on Penn State. What is so enticing about that?
What's so enticing is a great match of Counter-Strike. I think both of these teams play really well. I think their executes are very thought out and thorough, and when they're playing defaults, it's not dumb. And that's what I like about collegiate Counter-Strike when it's played well, is because defaults can look so good when you combine them with mid-round strats. And I think UCSC has always done that well. I think their IGL, I don't know how they do it, but every IGL they have is just really, really keen on making sure the rounds look nice and feel nice. Even if there's a mistake from either one of these teams, Penn State and UCSC, in the match that they have, it's probably going to be minor, and it's just going to be a beautiful best of 3 to watch. I'm probably predicting a 2-1 UCSC, but if it's UCSC, it's still going to be close.
That's fantastic here. Really excited to watch our week 2 matchups unfold over this next week. Where can you find us online, Hollis?
You can find us at twitch.tv/avgl, and we are airing every Sunday and Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's Eastern time, 8 p.m. Sundays and Tuesdays, twitch.tv/avgl. Make sure you tune in. It's sick.
It's going to be sick.
telling
It's
you.
going to be sick. We got some of the best casters in the
Yep.
game going to be casting your games too. So make sure you tune in. Watch guys like Dust and guys like Amode and Scrawny cast your games. Going to follow up the season with the LAN finals for 10K over on the West Coast. So stay tuned for that. And with that, that's going to wrap up our week 1 edition of Off Angle. I want to thank everyone for taking a second to tune in and watch us. I am Philip Pompetti, and this is Hollis Bain. This has been Off Angle, and we were absolutely going to catch you next week.